Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another week with Getting Real Estate with Stacey. And today with me is Becky from Lady Landlords. Introduce
Hi, how
yourself.
you doing, Stacey?
I'm great, thank you. So I am so amazed at how you started and what you are up to now. So please tell everybody how you began the business that you do now.
Sure. I always explain to people that I never ever wanted to own real estate. And that unfortunately, to tell my story of success, I have to do one thing that I absolutely hate, which is admit that my husband was right. So I I back in my 20s, I actually left. I'd always worked in cancer research. I actually left there. I ended up moving to Europe. I used to own a tour company in Spain for many years. I then expanded into Portugal. I bought a bar in Portugal. Then I had a bus that took people back and forth from Spain to Portugal, Portugal to Spain. Unfortunately, though, I made a really bad business decision in buying the bar in Portugal, lost over $100,000 and had to move back
Mm.
home to my parents' basement when I was 30 years old
I
here
was
in
going
New
to
York.
ask you, how old were you at that point? That's
Yeah,
tough.
I was already 30, which is like, kind of not the time you want to be moving back in with your
Mm.
parents, but that's what I had to do. But luckily, I met my now husband, Emilio. He's an immigrant from the Dominican Republic. He moved to the States when he was 18 years old. Very much wanted that American dream, white picket fence, kind of all that. So I said, okay, fine, we can do that, but I'm not going to live paycheck to paycheck here in New York because we bought a house. I said,
Mm.
if we're going to do it, we have to find a way that we're able to make money off of buying real estate. And that was
Excellent.
actually what got us started.
So you were saying that he was a bartender, and then
Mhm.
but you did. It's funny. You owned a bar in Spain, and he was a bartender here, and there was nothing. You guys didn't even. That's not how you met. Okay.
Totally. No, we met playing softball in Central Park.
Oh, that's great. That's fun.
Yeah.
So, tell us how you started this business. How this Lady Landlords came to be.
Sure. Lady Landlords got started. So after we bought that first duplex, I remember when we got that check from those tenants on like day number one at the closing table. And I'm like, y'all are gonna I just gave you like my whole life away. I gave you my all my savings, all my money, and you gave me back money. I was like, this
That's
is
great.
fantastic. I
Were,
need to do this again.
were you living there at the time? So it was owner occupied rental. You okay? Got it.
It was an owner occupied, yeah, it was a duplex. We were house hacking where you live in one side, you rent out the other. So we had that money coming in from that one set of tenants. And I was like, this is fantastic. I'm like, we need to do this again. So that's what we went on to do. We ended up buying 12 more properties between New York and the Dominican Republic, where my husband's from, in about
Wow.
3 years. We created a six-figure income doing so in that time. And we were just kind of skating along and everything just seemed really reasonable. I was really excited to continue buying properties. And then, as most people remember, March 2020 came in and changed all of our lives.
Right.
So, my husband actually came home. He was laid off from the bar that he worked at here in New York. All the bars were closed and restaurants. So, he came home and he's like, hey, we're down an income stream. I can't work. What are we going to do now? And I was like, oh my God, we need to buy another property. And he was like, no, 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 I lost my job. And I was like,
That's how I spend
exactly.
money.
This is why we need to go buy another rental property,
So at that
as you
point,
do.
you were now right and he was wrong. So it's switched. It's right. Okay. That's great.
Exactly. No, in full circle, I ended up getting what I wanted,
Mm.
as usually the wife does.
Hmm.
But
Of course.
at that point, like, as you kind of do, my husband just kind of slammed the door in the other room and was like, "You're nuts! So I told you I lost a job, and here you want to go buy rental property." And I was like, "Listen, somebody else out there has to be thinking like me, saying we need to take our control back. We can't rely on corporate America, 9 to 5 jobs to do what we necessarily need them to.
Hmm.
We need to build that ourselves." So I went and I was like, let me just find some strangers on the internet. So I started a Facebook group called Lady Landlords. I thought it would just be like me and my mommy hanging out in there, but I was wrong. We had members join and join and join. We had 100 the first day, 100 the second day. We now, 2 years later, have 30,000 members of women nationwide
That is
that are looking
unbelievable.
to become real estate investors. It's a beautiful.
That is. So what is your advice for women? And first of all, wait, how old? Because this is so intriguing. What's the youngest woman, would you say, that purchased a property as an investor that you know of?
18.
And
And they're
oldest?
the smart ones that got smart started
Oh,
early.
absolutely. I mean, they're probably still living at home with their parents and purchasing homes.
Right.
What a great opportunity. And so, how do you what do you do to walk them through this process? Like, how does
Sure. So what Lady Lemons has really become is kind of a center for education to explain how to get through a lot of these processes. So as you know, when you buy your first home, we don't know how to do that, right? There's just so many questions about like how much should I spend, how to rent it for it, like what are the regulations for me to be able to be a landlord? There's so many questions on how to be able to buy the right property where we're
mm-hmm,
not losing money, where we can actually make some money and
exactly.
lay a great foundation, where to buy, how to fund it, all of those questions. So we really provide clarity on not only how to buy your first property, but what's actually more difficult, in my opinion, is the second, third, and fourth property,
Right, because
right?
here you are
Now all of a sudden the rules
you're
change.
managing all these different properties.
You're managing them. Your funding's different because usually, a lot of people start with owner occupied, but then when you move to that
It becomes investment
mentorship,
property, exactly.
sorry, when you move to that scaling, it's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different world. So that's really what we're there to walk people through those steps on how to not only buy your first property, how to manage it appropriately, but then how to scale to more rental properties.
Um, how many pieces of property would you say is the most that somebody in Lady Landlords owns?
We have people in there with thousands.
Wow.
We have people in there with thousands of units.
And this is just from the last 2 years.
Right.
That's incredible. That is
It's
incredible.
really amazing to see what people can do. I mean, it is. There's been people that have like joined the group and they've been able to get not only their first rental property, they've been able to leave their jobs, they've been able to start passion projects, they've been able to volunteer more. My favorite story is one of our members that I was working with. Her name's Krista. When I met her, she was making good money in a dead end corporate job, and
Mm-hmm.
she just hated it. It was toxic. She couldn't stand being there anymore. All she wanted to do was share her love of health and wellness with others and be at home when her kids got off the bus.
Sounds like a great scenario. And that's what
Right.
she did. So
So,
she started investing and she was able
yeah,
to do that.
right. So within, I think that was in the first year of Lady Landlords. We were able to kind of walk her through like, hey, how to buy a property, how to be able to get that cash flow from it. So
Mm-hmm.
she was bringing in enough money to quit her day job, but she was still felt like she can contribute to the household. And now she runs a health coaching business from her house, works from home, and is there
When her kids
when her
get off
kids get
the
off the bus.
bus. How many states do the women purchase? Like all over the country?
We have all 50 states, and we also have a lot of women in Canada, but we are completely across. One of my clients, Kelsey, is in Hawaii. We
That's
have people everywhere.
great. That is awesome. So obviously, I was going to ask you what your word of advice would be, but it seems to me, start investing, right?
Right. Start investing, and honestly, start investing today. I think that's the when you ask a successful real estate investor what they wish they had done differently, the answer that always comes back is, "I wish I started sooner." Every
But it's
single
never
time,
too late. So that's a good thing about this.
and it's never too late.
How do you feel women are handling the fact that the prices of homes have been higher, and how are they handling that, like with the bidding wars and stuff?
Right. What I think is interesting is I'm hoping, maybe ish, that we are slightly past the bidding
We
wars,
are,
the wave-in
yes,
contingencies,
yes,
the whole craziness. But
yes.
now we're competing with higher interest rates.
Hmm.
To me, the best skill a real estate investor has to have is being a good problem solver. And I got to be honest, women just have really that innate
Hmm.
skill to be able
Agreed.
to figure out how to make things work. We just really
Absolutely.
do. So I think right now, it's more the idea of how do we work around this changing market. We had to do it in 2020 when
Hmm.
all of a sudden prices skyrocketed and there were those bidding wars and people were just making offers, for whatever they possibly could to be able be able to get in that
Hmm.
property because of the competition. We figured that out. Now all of a sudden it's great. Now instead prices we're expecting and are kind of slowly starting to change a little bit, but now we have higher interest rates. So just the problem now is just how do we get around that? And everything is solvable.
Are you guys familiar with the DSCR? Oh,
Yes.
you do? Okay, because we offer that as well. Where just for those out there that don't know, that's when you are in purchasing an investment property that's not owner occupied, and you use the income that you're getting from that property as your monthly income. That goes towards your monthly income. So
Right.
that's a fabulous loan product, definitely.
It is. And it opens the doors for a lot of people that are either self-employed, like those
Mm-hmm.
that are real estate investors.
Exactly. That's great. True. True. Very true. All right. This was so knowledgeable and so it was such a great. So I need you to let us know how we can have people follow you. So when they, because I know you offer classes and seminars about how to, and that's how I think I saw you on Instagram. And I
Yes.
started paying attention and listening, and
Yeah.
then you have all these different courses and seminars, and that you actually, can help people, women especially, which I am all for empowering women. That's why I do this podcast and these interviews
Right.
because I would love to, whatever I can do to inspire, empower women out there of any age. And I think that you would have been. This is why I reached out to you because I knew that you would definitely are on the same page as I am.
Absolutely. So for those that identify as female, they can find me on Facebook at Lady Landlords.
Mm-hmm.
Type it right into the search bar. I will pop up. Absolutely. And then for anyone else, everyone can follow me on Instagram as you do, at Becky Nova 24.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Becky. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate this is a great interview, and I think that there's a lot of women out there that could benefit from this,
Yeah.
including
Thank you for having
myself.
me on. No, thank you for having me today.
Of course. Thank you so much.